Hello everyone, welcome to Disha. We are powered by the Sarat Chandra IAS Academy. In Disha program, we have been teaching and educating the young minds of our country about various different things. So in this series today, we'll be talking about the history of India. We'll be having a brief overview of what has been a history to India and how to study it for future. How to study it. So we'll not be delving much in the details. Let's start with a basic outline. Alright, so history as we see it is the study of past, of what has already passed. All right. So it begins in two phases. One is the prehistory. Prehistory is what we cannot record much. All right. History is divided into two, three parts. One is the ancient history. One is the medieval history. And one is the modern history, especially when considering India. All right. Now, when we see prehistory, it is divided into further few parts, such as the, let's say, origin of the Indian continent geographically, origin of the mankind in India, origin of various different cultures. All right, so these are Paleolithic. That means the stone art, the stone culture. There is Mesolithic and there is Neolithic. In the Neolithic period, we discovered the agriculture and other things. All right, when we come to the ancient history, we start with the Indus Valley Civilization, IVC. Then we follow the Vedic period. Then we come to the Mahajanapad period. And then we move on to various different empires in India, starting from the first big empire such as the Mauryan Empire. Alright, when we come to the medieval portion, we talk mostly about the Delhi Sultanate, the central Indian kingdoms, such as the kingdoms in Maharashtra and all. Alright, as well as the Vijayanagar kingdom in the south. In the modern history, we talk events from the advent of the British in India around late 1600 and 1700. We talk about the colonialism and finish it with the independence in 1947. All right. So this is a basic outline of the Indian history. Let us talk about things from here, starting with the prehistory. Okay, so I'll be giving you a brief outline of what to study and how to study it. Just a second. Okay, it does not align properly. All right, so prehistory. All right, in prehistory, I already told you, we talk about three phases or three periods, the Neolithic, Mesolithic, and the Paleolithic. All right, so it begins with the Stone Age or the Paleolithic. So in Paleolithic, we are talking about the Stone Age. There are multiple different sites in India. So at that time, people used to live at hunter-gatherers, crude stone tools they were using. All right. And these stone tools and all, their culture became more refined in the Mesolithic period. In the Mesolithic period. Lastly, we see the Neolithic period. So some examples of the Neolithic period, it marks the beginning of the agriculture. So please remember this thing, beginning of the agriculture. And there are some important sites in India which you should know about the Neolithic period. These are the site of Mehergarh. All right, this is presently located in Pakistan, the site of Mehergarh. Then we have multiple different sites in Kashmir. One is Burz Home. This is located in Kashmir. And there is Chirand, the site known as Chirand. It is located in Bihar. So for studying more about this, you can refer to NCRT. Then we move on to the next phase, which is the Indus Valley Civilization, the IVC. So it's a major chapter in your history. Whenever you are reading the history books in future, you will come across this chapter IVC. And this was a civilization in India which existed between 13 or let's say 3000 BC or 3300 BC to 1900 BC. All right, it was destroyed from unknown region or people migrated. All right, there are multiple theories about what caused these migrations. Were these climate change? Some say that it was Aryan invasion and different things. All right. So Indus Valley civilization, what we read about the Indus Valley civilization, we have various different sites located in Pakistan and India, both Pakistan and India. In India, we have sites like, let's say, Dholvira, Rakhi Gadi. All right. In Pakistan, we have sites like Mohenjo-daro. You might have seen the movie also, Mohenjo-daro. All right. There are different sites like Harappa. So these sites and all are very important when you are reading. So this was the first, let's say, proof of civilization in India. Civilization in India. There was city planning, there were citadels, there were multiple different things, drainage, granary. Okay. And we are talking about approx 5,000 years ago from now. 5,000 years ago from now. Let's come to the next part, which is the Vedic period. Vedic period was first literary sources. Okay, we cannot study and read the language of the Indus Valley civilization. There was a person known as James Prinsep. He tried to see and understand the IVC language. So next we come to the Vedic period. In Vedic period, the name is derived from the Vedas. And Vedas are the most ancient literary sources of our knowledge about India. Literary sources. Okay, so this period was between 1500 BC to 500 BC. Okay, this Vedic period. And there were a different sort of people from the IVC found during this period. These were known as Indo-Aryans. Indo-Aryans. So their origin is unknown. Maybe they came from Europe, maybe they came from, let's say, Central Asia and various different countries, very different regions. But we see a different sort of people during this era. And during this age only, the Vedic texts were written. The Vedic texts were written. The base of the religion known as the Hinduism. Okay, Hinduism was a common religion to India. Just a second. All right. Next, we see that Vedic society was pastoral and agricultural. Agricultural. All right. And what it led to eventually in the culmination of various different regional grouping. Okay, regional grouping, which were later known as the Mahajanpads. Mahajanpad. Okay, what is the meaning of this Mahajanpad? Maha means great, and Janpad means democracy, let's say, or population, the grouping of population. So great culmination or collection of the population were known as Mahajanpads. These were big cities. These were big cities. Okay, all right, great kingdoms basically. Now let's come to this Mahajanpad period a bit and see this. So what was this Mahajanpad period? 16 Mahajanpads. How many Mahajanpads? Total 16 great empires. And one of the famous empires was the Magad, was the kingdom of Magad. There were another different kingdoms known as the Kaushala. Okay, these are also, let's say, uh, told to us in the story of Ramayana. Okay, and in the Magad only, there was a great empire known as the Mauryan Empire. Mauryan Empire. It was started by a ruler named as Chandragupta Maurya. This was during the time of around 323 BC. 323 BC. This was also the time when Alexander invaded India. Alexander means, in Hindi it is known as Sikandar. Okay, Sikandar invaded India. Next thing we see that in the Mauryan Empire there were many great kings known as the Chandragupta Maurya. There were Bimbisar, there was Bindusar, there was Ashoka. Ashoka was the greatest king of the Mauryan Empire. Alright. Next thing, Ashoka was also known for the spread of Buddhism in India. For the introduction and spread of Buddhism in India. He had multiple different edicts. Okay, edicts means basically stones. Those were, let's say, featured in different various parts of the countries, and they were raised to have slogans. Rock edict number 4, rock edict number 5. All right, these are repetition of the same messages at various different parts of the country of India. All right, they are found at multiple different places. So it shows the extent of the Ashokan Empire. Not only India, it was also, let's say, found in the present day Pakistan and as well as Afghanistan. Okay, so their script changes as per area. Next, we see there were another great empire known as the Gupta Empire. So Gupta Empire you must read when you are reading ancient history of India. That was a little bit later than the Mauryan Empire and existed between 320 AD to 550 AD. Okay, please remember the AD and BC correctly whenever you read about it. So in this period, India gained a significance in the field of art, science, and history and other things. All right, so very famous, the golden period of India in let's say the subject and the fields of art, science, culture, etc. And many famous rulers were there. Chandragupta I, Samudragupta also very famous. Samudragupta is known as the Napoleon of India. All right, Chandragupta II, Vikramaditya. Chandragupta II, very famous ruler, the most famous ruler, in fact, of the Gupta period. All right. Next thing we see about the Gupta period, many famous temples and university was concluded and constructed this time, known as the Nalanda. Nalanda was very famous. It was made by Kumar Gupta. All right, constructed by Kumar Gupta. And many Chinese visitors also came during this time to India. Chinese visitor. Okay, Fahan also came to India during this time. Ozaz Okay, next one, let us talk about the southern empires. The southern empires of ancient India. Okay, such as we talk about the Chola Empire. Chola, Chera, Pandya. So these empires were very important when you read about the Indian history, especially in context to the southern empires. Okay, so we talk about the Cholas. Cholas existed between 900 to 1300 AD. Okay, there were traces of Chola Empire before also, but they came to power mainly between 900 to 1300 AD. Okay, there is a movie known as PS1 and PS2. You can watch some Chola history in that. It is known as the Ponniyin Selvan. Ponni River, you know, Kaveri River. Okay, so that is why this is known as Ponniyin Selvan. Okay, multiple different kings were here. Rajaraja Chola, Rajaraja Chola, Rajendra I. Okay, and what is important that the influence not only was in south but also in the adjoining kingdom of Indonesia, Malaysia, Sri Lanka, and so on. Okay, they were sending Buddhist missions, Hindu missions to here and there. And their trade was so extensive, their naval army was so extensive that it could not be compared to any other empire in India that time or in world. Okay, now we come to the next one, that is the medieval India. All right, so when we talk about the medieval India, what we will see, the Delhi Sultanate majorly. Okay, Delhi Sultanate had multiple different empires, such as the Muslim empires, and the Muslim invasion started at that period. So we had the slave dynasty, the Khilji dynasty. Okay, we had the Sayyid dynasty, we had the Lodi dynasty, and after Lodi dynasty, there was a paradigm shift in which the Mughals entered India. The Mughals entered India in 1526 with the advent of the Babur. Okay, and Babur started a line of Mughals which left, which was there till almost 17 to 1800s. All right. Okay, next let's see in the south what was happening. There was Vijayanagar kingdom during this time. In the south there was Vijayanagar kingdom. Okay, this was started by Hariharan Bukka, and the Krishna Dev Rai was very famous ruler of this kingdom. The Krishna Deva Rai. Okay. Next, you might have heard about the Tenali Ram also. Tenali Ram was in the court of Krishna Dev Rai. Okay, next we talk about the Mughal Empire. It was lasted during 1526 to 1857. Alright, it started with Babur. So there were multiple rulers. Let's say Humayun, After Humayun, there was multiple different rulers. You can just keep naming them one by one. So there was Jahangir, let's say. There was Akbar. There were Shah Jahan. There was Aurangzeb. Okay, multiple different rulers which changed the course of India via different, let's say, policies and strategies. Akbar was very famous of them. He had a battle with Maharana Pratap also. Okay, and he started multiple different policies as well as religion. His religion was very different to Islam, Deen-e-Ilahi. All right, and he showed some sort of compassion or inclusiveness first time in the history of India, especially when it comes to Mughals. After the Mughals, we see the British in India, and which start our modern history. The British period in India, which start the modern history. They established a company known as the British East India Company, EIC. And this company, through the crown of Britain, started out with trade first, then they had expansionist policies such as the ring fence policy, multiple different policies. Okay, they did a battle in 1757 known as the Battle of Plassey. The Battle of Plassey. This Plassey's battle changed India's course, and India became a slave to the colonial masters known as the British. Okay, in 1857 there was another huge battle. There was a revolt from Indian side, okay, which did not do anything significant when it comes to absolute terms, but started out a fire that was very, very hard to suppress. All right, in 19th and 20th century, later on, we saw various different leaders of both nature, which were extremists also, which were moderates also. Okay, in extremists, we can see Bhagat Singh, Rajguru, multiple different. Okay, in moderates, we see the Gandhi, other Subhash Chandra Bose was also an extremist. So they did various different movements, various different functions in the course of time from 1857 to almost 100 year 1947. And during this, we saw non-cooperation movement, Salt March, Quit India movement, all right, which led to our eventual independence in 1947. During this time, we also saw the World Wars 1 and 2. Okay, and India had an indirect participation in them also. So you can read about all this when you read about the history of India. Overall, we are having a great development now. When it comes to 1947, we were left at this pace. Okay, and now we have grown like this till 2024, and I hope we keep growing best and best. So if you have any doubts in the, let's say, about this lecture, you can tell me in the comment section. I'll be very happy to help you. Thank you very much. See you in the next lecture.